Now if you're starting off with writing for a purpose with preps, and of course they're new preps, so let's assume that they can't write at all yet, and they're learning to write, so early stages of writing. Still use your whiteboard, your pen or paper and pencil, but you need your coded words, your high frequency words. They're the King's helpful words, and they're 7 Duck Level Awards, which covers about 440 high frequency words that have been coded. Coded meaning we've linked the way we say the words, the speech sounds in those words, with what we see. It, him. This is not phonics, this is coding. The, it's, this. K or d, could. And what we do with an SSP to further help with this fast mapping is we use duck hands. Here's my duck hand. So what we're doing is every time we say the speech sound in the word, we use our duck hand and we go from left to right. So could, if I didn't see it, I would go k or d. So k or d. That's what they need to know before they even worry about what goes on there. If they can't hear k or d, they're going to struggle with reading and spelling. So all the things we do in SSP are overcoming phonemic awareness and auditory processing difficulties so that the reading and spelling makes sense. So that it means we don't have to memorise, they don't have to guess. So even with the spelling, could, k or d, k or d. So this is a picture for or, and here it is in the or spelling cloud. And remember, the spelling clouds represent the speech sounds. Forget letters, they represent the speech sounds. Okay, so we're coming to writing with our preppies. W, O, Z. You think about phonics. Phonics would confuse a lot of the children because they would think, well, this has to be w as, whereas it's not. This is the word for was, and we say w, o, z. Duck hands. W, o, z. So that is a picture for w, that is a picture for o, that is a picture for z. W, o, z. And what is important is the brain can hear the sounds and link them, fast map them with the pictures of the speech sounds. We call them pictures of speech sounds because if I listen for w, o, z, and I can play it with my spelling piano, w, o, z. What do I play on 3? Z. What do I play on 1? W. What do I play here? O. W, o, z. So we think about that for the speech sounds. Supposing I was to take a picture with my magic speech sound camera of that w, o, z. I'm going to take a picture of w. Say it, w. Take a picture. Well, this is the picture for w in the word was. Listen for the o. W, o, z. W, o, z. Let's take a picture of the o in the word was. O. Let's take a picture of the z in was. W, o, z. Was. There it is. W, o, z, was. We can't change this. This is how it's spelt. So we have to think about what we say and the speech sounds in the way that we say it. W, o, z, was. So if you start with this, and especially if you say that makes a, well, actually it doesn't. In this word, it's a picture of off. Think about, what about this word? If we use a word with the same number of speech sounds, what about any? E. There, it's a picture of e. So what matters is that the children, first of all, don't worry about this part. The main thing at the beginning and all the way through, first of all you start with oral language and phonemic awareness. Then you teach the code along, and we're doing fast mapping so that the children get to know all 200 to 250 odd sound picks that represent the speech sounds that we use in our English language. I've put them all in the spelling clouds, so make sure you have them displayed on the walls from day one. The only words you can't map are those. That's it. All the other words can be mapped. W, O, M just doesn't map. But every other word can. But let's start with getting the children to listen. So we're coming to do some writing with some new preps. And what we're doing is we're going to have these so that the children understand what we're doing. Let's leave that one out. Actually, no, let's choose another one out of duck level 1. Let's choose, what's this one? Let's do my. Okay, so supposing the children were going to write, now you're going to talk, you might have read a story, what can we, answer a question, anything you want, it doesn't matter. It's a good idea to have some sort of visual stimulation to start off with. These are actually really nice because the children can talk about what they can see, you can think about a sentence that you're going to use, and the children can also try and find the words that are hidden in this. And then when they found the words, they can code the words, and they could put those words in a sentence as well. There's all sorts of things you can do with these. But to start off with, you need to think of a sentence. But it could also just be a sentence that's relevant. It could be their news after the weekend. It could be about a specific event. There could be a celebration that's going off at that time, or some historical event, or anything at all. This first start of your writing session within the 2-hour literacy block has to be rapid writing. So it has to be writing in speech sound lines and then filling them in, or you fill them in and help them, or whatever. It depends on the children you have. Then you go on to the writing that is relevant to your grade level or the Australian curriculum or whatever it is that you're doing. What we want is oral language. We want the children talking, and we want the children to understand that what we're going to do here is actually we're going to here put our talking on paper. All this writing that grown-ups do is just talking on paper. So we're going to need to show them what it is and exactly how we know how to do it. So supposing we've talked first of all, so we can put that away. So we've talked first of all, and supposing the sentence they want to write, it might be their news or whatever. So the sentence the child might want to say is, I went to my dad's house. Okay, so we're going to say, right, hold on to that. Can you remember it? If I come back to you in a minute, can you remember it? I went to my dad's house. So what we're going to do is think, okay, talking on paper. First of all, let's do what we can hear. Now keep the sentence short. And what you're going to do first of all, so they've held the sentence. Let's say the sentence was, I went to my dad's house. Suppose it was news. Monday morning, and we're doing our news. I went to my dad's house. First of all, they're going to duckhand it. I went, went to, to, my, I, my, dad's, dad's. What was the last one? House, house. Now, if the children are ready, and we actually, because of the visual prompts on the poster, they're used to doing the duck hands, doing the lines and the numbers.
I have it. I think I have a pen in my ear.
So they might do I, went, to, I, does, house. Now here, it's actually going to take them a few weeks to get to that stage because they've gone the sounds, but they're actually going left to right, going to the next sentence. So there are a lot of skills in there, but this is what you're going to build up to. So they're going to be able to do that. And then even if they don't know the sound picks of the choices for those speech sounds that go on there, you can fill those in. But this is the most important thing for the structure. So I, and you might get that out for their, of their duck levels. The children would tell me far quicker where I is. There you go. So I might say, there it is, I. That's the word for I. I. And then they might copy it. Went, went. Now I would put the numbers underneath for them because in prep in the first week or so they're not going to be drawing their numbers properly. Went. What can you hear there? Went. Right, let me fill it in. There's the picture for I went to. What do we hear here? To. To. And you might show it them in here. Sorry, it's difficult to film and look at these at the same time. To, I went to my, again, you might show it to them. My, so you're going to build it up. So some of the children you'll find, if you show them where it is, then they can copy it there, or sometimes you have to do it for them. It depends on their fine motor control, depends on all sorts of things. I went to my dad's, and then I might say, oh, do you know, this is a really important word because it's his name. I'm going to do this, and this is a capital letter. So you can introduce the punctuation, grammar and punctuation whilst you're doing this. And you also put, I'm going to put that there. And sometime soon we're going to tell you why. It's because it belongs, the house belongs to Dad. Don't worry because they're not going to take that in, but you're just saying it. And as you keep showing it and everything you're doing, with some children it'll go in very quickly, and some children it'll go in when they're where they're ready, and some children you'll have to actually formally teach it. But we're going to say, so what do we miss? Can you remember your sentence? I went to my dad's house. House. Ow. This is why we've got it in black, grey, black to show where the speech sounds split. Ow. House. Ow. House. Now, as they're moving up, as they're getting, you know, they're learning more of the code, they might know what the picture of hurt might be, and they might do it on their own. And then they might say, oh, I think this is a s. So we say, yes, go and have a go. Hurt, ow, s. Now, I'm going to tell you that's the ow, and then I might show them the word hurt, ow. Now, you see, it's a different picture for s. So you change yours, so it's a different picture for s, for this, and you've added it in. And then you get them to go back and read their sentence. So it's a sentence they've constructed and a sentence you've helped them to write. Even if you've actually written it, you've shown them how we construct it when we change what we say, when we translate it onto paper. I went to my dad's house. Now, this is why these are so important, and especially they're coded, because when they're first learning phonics, let's say they've only learnt these. Supposing you just do a focus on these, and that's so they understand how to decode and encode. They understand that if I follow the sounds, let's say p, at, that's the word pat. Supposing I want to spell the word nip, what would they do? They'd go ip, because they've got to do the order. So when we actually write them, we do them left to right, but they've got to be able to decode and encode, so that's read and spell, using just a small group, so they understand the skills and concepts. But let's say they're only doing these. Well, none of these will build the words for this. And this is the short sentence what the child wanted to write. And we want the child to write what they want to write. These are all high frequency words. They're all in here. So use the resources we have for SSP to scaffold the learning, the teaching. And remember that it's a skills acquisition program. It's a skills acquisition process. There is no point the child saying to you, I want to say I went to my dad's house, and then you just write it on a piece of paper for them. You write it on a piece of paper for them and they go off and they copy it. That's actually not going to teach them anything. They need to hold on to that sentence to know it's a sentence that we can put down on paper. But also, like if you said to them, where did you go at the weekend? They say, Dad's house. Well, the whole thing is that we want the child not to put Dad's house, because it's not you're not using a writer's voice, you're just writing a few words, but it needs to make sense to the person who's reading it. So that's why we're talking about, okay, let's put that in a sentence. What about, I had fun at my dad's house, or what would you like to say? So they might have ended up with, I went to my dad's house at the weekend, or I went to my dad's house. So they've come up with that sentence. Then we have to show them how it's constructed.
So you're thinking really there's two parts. There's the oral language, so you're working out how to create a sentence that then you're going to use in the writing, and that in itself is really hard. You ask most children to look at something and talk about it, and they'll do that, but then say, right now I want you to put something down in a sentence, let alone a whole paragraph or a story, whatever, and it's really hard. So they need to first tell you what they want to write. So you might do that as a whole class first. You might think of the sentence, then they've got to write it in speech sound lines on their board, and that's also working memory. Some of the children won't remember the sentence that you just constructed, so you're working on working memory as well. But you want the children to write that sentence in speech sound lines, then they can do the numbers, and then if you went around the room you could say, where did you play the speech sound, and they'll be able to play it back and see where a speech sound was and what have you. All of those skills and concepts that are going on before the children have even started making the sound picks choices to go on the lines, all of those skills and concepts are things that are going to help children with their reading and their spelling. So the focus is all of that before you even think about have you made the right choices for the actual words on there. You might even sometimes say to the children, today we're not going to make the choices on the lines. The only thing I want you to focus on are those speech sound lines in the sentences. And what you'll find then is they become a lot more adventurous. When children are just writing and they're just straightforward writing, they can become very cautious. They can stick to what they know, the words they know how to spell and what have you. We want them to be a lot more creative. So say to them at least once a week, we're going to do this. There's no letters on the lines. All I want you to be able to do is think of a really exciting sentence and then write that in speech sound lines. Use the best words you can think of. Be really creative. Then ask them to swap it over with their partner so that they can actually remember what it was that they decided they were going to write. And that in itself is another skill. So this rapid writing of really the focus on the oral language and the speech sound lines, you can do that in sort of 10 minutes every day. You could extend it a little bit longer once a week. What I'd also like you to do if you get chance is the children work in pairs. They work in pairs at their code level. You can download the speedy sentences from the members area or just use the back of the poster. Have little cards ready so they haven't got to look at the poster all the time. But what you're basically doing is you're saying, right, go. One of the children reads the sentence. They don't show it to their partner. They just read it. And the other child has to write it really quickly. And then once they've written it, they read another sentence. So they're writing sentences rapidly at their code level. Then you say stop after about 2 minutes and then they swap over. So it's only going to take you 5 minutes, but there's all sorts of things that are really useful in this. And then even if they're still at the same code level 2 weeks later, and they're still doing this, they're writing rapidly sentences at their code level. Now, obviously, it's more limiting at green level because there's fewer sound picks that you're doing. But if they're actually working at the green level, they need more of the consistency anyway. They don't really want lots and lots of different sound picks because they're not going to be able to cope with it. Whereas when you've got the children who are working at the blue level, you're going to really challenge them because in pairs, one of them's got to actually read the sentence and then the other one's actually got to write it down. So at every single level, you're making sure, because every child knows what code level they're working at, you're making sure it's a challenge for them. But again, this is just a 5-minute activity that you do for rapid writing. So it's rapid reading, rapid writing at their code level. And then the rest of the writing session is to do with whatever you've got to do for your curriculum. It might be a persuasive text, it might be a story, it might be a recall, whatever it is, you focus on that. But that first warm-up of your rapid writing with your oral language, your speech sound lines, and then your rapid writing of coded sentences at their level is just going to really up the pace. But there's all sorts of things to do with working memory and code knowledge and all sorts of things there that are going to be really helpful. It will also show you which children cannot write quickly. Now, if they've got SSP in Prep and Year 1, they will write very quickly because they're forming their letters correctly. You need to really watch out if they're older children and they're writing slowly because it's just, they're going to really struggle. In Australia, in high school, they have to handwrite their exams. So if they can't write quickly, you're already setting them up to struggle with their exams in high school, right? They need to be able to form letters quickly. They need to be able to write quickly. So this will show the children and you who can actually write quickly because it's not stuff, they haven't got to slow down to work out how to write something because it's at their code level. Anyway, I hope this is useful. Please access everything in the members area, join the closed group if you've got a membership, and ask any questions at all.